Dr. Joe Dispenza tip number 4 from his progressive seminar, where I bought it and I'm re-listening to it to share all the tips with you. So if you guys have ever been a part of my lives, I ramble pretty often about information that I've learned. And I used to think that the reason I would repeat the information is because I was so excited about it. I mean, granted, that's still true. I'm very excited about it, but I guess there's something a little more deep-seated that I didn't even realize. In Dr. Joe's seminar, there's parts where he will stop and break in between what he's saying and say, all right, poke the person next to you. And everyone always giggles and they poke the person next to him. And at first I couldn't figure out why he was having them do that or why he was even saying it. Like, are you really that boring that these people are falling asleep? No, not even close. Because then he goes on to describe why he says it. Of the information that you learn, if you are able to recite it back or explain it to somebody else within, we'll say 5 minutes of learning it, you are 72% more likely to be able to retain that information for a longer period of time. But not even just that. When you learn something new, it begins to fire and wire new neurons in your brain. So when those neurons are firing and wiring with each other over and over, you're retaining that information. And you guessed it, those little neurons, when you start talking about it to other people, they keep firing and wiring. Because if you learn something and you start setting up new connections in your brain, but then you don't do anything else with it, you don't talk about it with anybody, you don't repeat it to yourself, or you don't even write it down. So Dr. Joe did a study where these people were wiring and firing new connections. But if they did not repeat that information to anybody or write it down, that within a maximum of 7 days of them learning the information and not doing anything with it, those new connections disconnected. So when you repeat the information to somebody or poke the person next to you, it starts to strengthen the connection, allowing you to retain it longer. So when he said poke the person next to you, it wasn't necessarily because they were falling asleep or bored, but more so to make sure that everybody's connection that was up here was staying connected, because then after that, these people would explain what they just learned to the person next to them. So then while they are already learning it in the seminar, they're strengthening the neurons connections that have just been made. So if they're constantly doing that while they're in the seminar, they will be able to retain the information later on and explain it to other people. So even though I did the seminar alone, I wrote it down after and I would tell my friends about it. So basically, the information you're learning, make sure that you share it with somebody or perk the person sitting next to you. You know, just to strengthen your connection. Love you.